Alright, so here's an arm. We are ready for step 5. So this is actually a left arm with a right fist, but that's okay because the hands come out. I just glued together the wrong hand pieces. So anyways, this is a finished arm and the opposite finished hand. So let's see how we make this. So first off, you will need to print the hand pieces. Now there are different options for hands, and I did the ones that would be easiest for me to draw first, and those were the fist ones. So you've got a back of the hand and your fist and the front of the fist. So those just get put together like that with the glue or the solvent. So anyways, we got those. We also need one of those, one of those. Now these are not quite just reverse image symmetrical. The only difference is that this one has a little divot in it. I'm not sure exactly why. I have no idea what the point of that divot is, but I put it in there because it's in the kit. I don't know if maybe later when you're putting stuff on or configuring stuff, maybe something snaps into there. I mean, I don't think so. I didn't see anything, but it was in the kit, so I put it in here. So we've got those two. We also need the shoulder pieces, like this. Those are these guys here. Now, so far everything prints like this way. The way I'm laying it down here, this is the way it prints with support. Obviously, those don't need support. But those get support, those get support. We also need this and this. Now these also are not just mirror image. They have a little difference internal here. Now you could have, or I could have, printed this one and just did the mirror image and had, you know, those little things there. That wouldn't have hurt anything. I just did it this way because, again, that's the way the kit is. And this will get a piece like that goes inside. That one's not quite the right one. These are a little bit short, so I'm reprinting a test piece now. For the one that's done, what I did was I just glued a piece on, and that kind of fixed that, but I'd rather not have to do that for this one and for you guys. So again, those two. We also need one of these, and we need two of these. I already peeled the brim off of this one, but those get bonded together this way, and we'll see where those go in a second. And again, one of these, but a taller one. Again, that's on the printer now. And one of these. And this one I decided to just print as one piece instead of two, and it prints on the bed this way with the brim. I already took the brim off. Since the little pieces sticking out were right on the bottom, I decided to try it, and it actually printed pretty well. So there's that one, just one piece. And one of these. And that's it. So again, what I started doing, when I started loading the files for all this in the beginning, I noticed that there's a lot of files that were starting to add up on Thingiverse. So I wanted to put everything in a folder, and I couldn't figure that out, and I contacted tech support at Thingiverse and asked them how to put everything in a folder, and they said you can't. So I was mentioning that to a friend of mine, and he said, how about a zip file, because he's downloaded things that have been in a zip file. So what I started doing, and that works, so I'm putting all these files in a zip and then loading the zip file into Thingiverse. So I started that on the last one with step 4. So with this one, step 5, just download the step 5 zip, and that will have all the pieces. Now again, some of these you'll have to print 2 of or in versions of. So again, like this one, you'll have to print 2 like this, mirror image it, and print 2 more. So hopefully that makes sense. Also, options with hands. They give you several options for hands. Right now I only drew the fists. I will do the other hands later. I don't do organic very well with my SketchUp. So just getting this, which, this isn't perfect, but I'm very pleased with the way that came out, just because it is recognizable as a human fist. But to do the ones with the open hands or the finger, whatever, like one of them's supposed to hold a blaster or something, that I'm kind of putting that off because I don't know the best way to go about doing those. But eventually I will get those done. So anyways, to start off the build, what we will do is take this, and we need the piece that's in the printer. So actually, while we're waiting for that, there are a few other small things we can do. This bushing here goes in right there. Now it's a little bit of a loose fit in here, which is fine because once that gets glued onto the rest of the hand, it can't come out. This is for another piece to snap onto later on in the build. It's a part of the motorcycle that goes on. But I don't want that rolling around or spinning around, so I'm just going to put a little bit of CA on that. And my bottle is almost empty, but should have enough just to get a little bit around here. And again, it's just to keep it from floating around. It's not, you know, holding it in. Just enough to keep it from floating a bit. And get that as centered as we can here, like that. And then we'll just give it a little spray of accelerator. So there's that part done. And next thing we can do is bond the fist pieces together. I think on these, I think I used about a 15% infill. I probably could have gone with 10, you know. Doesn't really need much. And I probably could have just printed it, you know, without a bottom and just had like an edge. But, oh well, it's fine. It works. And just line up everything and squeeze that together. All right. So there's actually the fist that goes in that arm. Now, it does go in a bushing. It goes in this one right here, so it slides in here. To get those to fit, they won't fit now. I have to sand around here and sand inside of here, so it's a nice press fit. So, so I can't just stick this one in here now, because I have to sand around here a little bit to get it to go in there. Again, as we can see on this one, again, it's the wrong fist, but it just goes in there, and it's a nice fit. You can still turn it, pose it, not too tight that you can't pull it out, but it's loose enough it won't just fall out. All right, so there's that, ready to be sanded. And again, we're kind of stuck now until that part comes off the printer. And actually, I just lied. We can go ahead and glue this together. So we'll peel off the flashing. Not the flashing, but the brim. And I did try this with ABS, and it does work. And I said earlier that I'll use acetone for all the ABS parts because acetone's cheaper and I have more of it. But since I got the bottle here, and it's just convenient, it really doesn't take that much, we'll just go ahead and use this. I don't know if this is as strong as using acetone, but for what this is, it really doesn't matter, because with this in, it is completely surrounded, holding it together. So it's fine. And we'll just put a clamp on that, if I can find one. Hopefully this clamp is big enough. And try to get that lined up a little bit better. These warped a little bit coming off the printer, but I think we'll be fine. We'll just go ahead and squeeze that down more. Alright, so try to get those lined up better. So, until that other part comes off the printer, that's pretty much all I can do for now. So, I'll get back with you once we can start doing more. Alright, so here is that piece off the printer, and this goes here. Now again, like I said, the original piece for that was like way too short. If we see the difference here, this was as I scaled it from the kit, so you can see how much shorter it was. This one goes all the way to the top here. If I would have put the short one in, then the arm would be able to float around more. Not a lot because it's trapped within the sleeve pieces here, but anyways, I think you get the idea there. So what I'm going to do before I set that in, and I'll probably use a little bit of CA here, just to keep it from wiggling a little bit, I guess. Don't really know if it's needed too much, but before I do anything there, we need to make this fit here. And again, it doesn't fit because I'd rather it be a nice tight friction fit, so we need to sand it to fit. So it almost starts to go in there. So as you can see, we don't have to take a lot off. So typically the way I do it is I'll take a piece of 80 grit sandpaper and I'll start by rolling it around, something round to get it started rolling. And then roll that up a little bit tighter and just start working it in. Now if it's too big to begin with, we could take some layers off of the sandpaper or roll it a little bit tighter. So we'll see if we can maybe just get that to roll a little bit tighter. Maybe. Okay. And I would rather, it figures when I do this on camera, it doesn't work very well. But let me get a different piece because this was kind of tapered to begin with. And hope I'm not running out of this stuff. Now if it's a big enough hole, I'll just leave it on the knife here, on the blade here, but it's a little bit too big. Guess I could find something smaller. Do I have something smaller? I might, but anyways, we'll just, wrong one. We'll try this one in. Oh, and you know what I didn't do? It's a little bit right around here. I can get it started that way. A little bit of a ridge around nose. We'll get that off. And to keep this video from being too long, I think you get the idea. You could use a Dremel tool, obviously, but let me do this off camera and I'll come back and show you how it fits. One other thing I'm going to do is sand these a little bit, and not really a lot of room to get in there, but you can kind of fold that over like that. Just kind of do that. I don't want to do too much on these because I don't want to make those any thinner, because I don't want to make them weaker, but just enough to smooth them up a tiny bit to make it a little bit easier for that to go on when that's ready. So anyways, let me keep sanding on here. I'll get back when that's ready to go. All right, so that's what I was trying to do earlier. Get it rolled up so you can just stick it in and just kind of spin back and forth and then drop it, and that works pretty well. Again, I also sanded that just a little bit, but now we can see it goes on there nicely, and it's still just enough friction that it'll hold the arm in place. So now we can put this in here, and that goes on top. Now right now that's not glued in, so it probably rattles a little bit. I can hear it in there rattling around. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of CA just right on there, just to kind of hold that in so that so it doesn't rattle around. Because if it can rattle around in there now, then the arm will also be a little bit loose, have a little bit of wiggle in there when it's all together, and don't want that. So just a little bit there, and a little bit of accelerant, and again, that'll just keep it from rattling around too much. And of course it's not centered now. So maybe we can still move that. Yeah, no, not really. I'll probably have to break that loose and try that again. That's better. It moved on me a little bit. At least we know CA is strong. All right, that looks pretty centered up there, so that'll work. So what I will do is I'll put some pressure this way, put a little bit more right around here. All right. And that should be good. Put that on. That looks good. So the next part is to bond that and clamp it. All right. That clamp is way too strong. Funny how the bigger clamp is weaker. One thing I wish I would have included is like alignment pins or something to keep everything straight so things wouldn't shift when you clamp them. But as long as you're careful, it'll be all right. I like these clamps, but they don't seem to hold the pressure. I'll see that it's back and back off again. They don't hold as tight as I would like them to. So I'll put that one like that. All right, I think we'll just leave it like that for a bit, actually. There we go. All right, we'll leave that for now, and we'll just let that set for a little bit, and when it's ready, we'll put these on. One thing, these, well, there's two pieces together. I didn't need any sanding on that at all. It just presses right in there. That was like perfect right off the printer. Now I did, however, come on. All right, it doesn't want to come out. I did, however, though, shave down from like here in because the gap here, the gap was touching. So I had to shave that down a little bit to get that in here. Now I'm leaving this rough because this will eventually slide into something else, and I don't want to take any off of this until I'm ready to fit it to the other part. And I can't bond this together until that's done, because as you can see, that goes around to those parts. So we'll see that as soon as this is set. So we'll get back to you in just a minute. Right, it's probably been long enough, but I will keep that, maybe this one. I will keep this one on here while we do the next step, just to make sure. So next, this one, and then that goes over top of it. So back to the solvent. And what we'll do, just hold that one on here. And obviously, hopefully this goes without saying, that you don't want to get any on the part where it goes through, because you don't want to lock the rotation feature of it. And then we clamp it. Make sure it still, rotates. But we'll leave it like that for a little while, at least. Probably a couple minutes is probably good enough, but I like to just make sure it sets for a few hours before I really do anything too rough with it. So just let it sit like that for a while, and we'll come back in a few minutes or hours. All right, I think it's been sitting long enough. One thing I want to mention before I forget: the round bushing piece here and the taller one of these that went in here, I put those on the same STL file, so they will print at the same time, and 2 of each. So you just print that once and you get all 4 of those pieces. Since they were small and don't take that long to print, I thought that would be the best way to do it. So take these clamps off, and we are ready now to assemble this thing. One thing first though, and I went ahead and sanded out the inside here and sanded here, so that now fits together nicely. It's a little bit tight, but that's good. Tight's better than loose. This goes in here, and as you can see, that is really loose. So I'm going to CA that in place. Now, normally, you wouldn't really have to, because that gets trapped in here, right? But when you go to change hands, I don't want that flopping around, and I don't want the hand to be a little shaky. So I'm going to CA that in place, and just to keep it, a little bit, less shaky, I guess. And I will just kind of eyeball that straight. Something, about like that. Oops. And that should be pretty good that way. Just make sure this still goes on. All right, that'll work. All right, now, next up, this guy goes on this way, not that way, this way. And it just presses on here, and then this. And we can kind of wiggle that centered. Again, as you can see, it's just enough friction to hold it, but not enough that you can't position it. And this is a little bit loose, but you know, that's okay. It's fine. It's not all flopping around, so it'll work. And we'll just put the CA in here, like you've seen me do a bunch of times already. So get back to you once that's glued and clamped. And I realize I just said CA'd, but again, solvent. And the last thing then is this piece goes on the back, just like that, which is good because I got a little bit of a gap right here, which, you know, that's one thing. You do get a few gaps, for example, in this leg here. Notice the gap right up here, just because, you know, when it comes off the bed, sometimes parts warp a little bit. What I will more than likely do when this is all done is I'll take an empty one of these bottles, put some scrap PLA in it with some solvent, just to make kind of a melty goo paste stuff. And I will then mask off right by all of those gaps and then just smear some in there and peel the masking off, and it'll completely cover that up. And that will fix all of those gaps. But on ones like this, where this will not only cover it, but it will also give more strength and bonding support to this piece, you know, I won't have to do that. So anyways, let me get that bonded on and show you what both arms look like. And here we go, both arms done. I'm actually really pleased with these. I think they came out pretty nice. What was I going to say? I don't know. But anyways, plenty of, you know, articulation. You know, they got the arm move out this way and it can rotate around. Obviously, this will also be able to rotate up. You know, so you can come out around this way. And of course, the hand moves. And you can take the hands out, put different hands in, as we said before. And you've got the elbow joint. The only thing I don't like is that that's as far as the elbow can bend. I'm halfway tempted. I don't know. I'm halfway tempted to cut like a half circle out right here to give some more motion in the elbow joint. You know, I think that would still look fine and it would give you a lot more posability. So I got to think about that, because right now that's as far as the elbows go, you know, from there to straight. So yeah, which, you know, is what the kit does, but I don't know. I got to think of a good way to cut that out and not have it look really bad. So anyways, that's it for now. Got the two arms, got the two legs, we got the head. Only thing left is the body, which will be the next video. But I'm out of gray filament, and yeah, I'll probably be able to get to my local print shop Tuesday maybe. So anyways, hopefully we'll get the body done by this time next week. So as always, until next time, thanks for watching.